Talk Business Arkansas is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Noble Strategies, the Arkansas Healthcare Association, and Delta Trust and Bank.
I'm Roby Brock with your Talk Business Arkansas update. Healthcare, health insurance expansion front and center at the Capitol today. But let's begin with your top business headlines. Big box retailers Walmart and Target are no strangers to competition, going head-to-head in the U.S. market for more than 4 decades. But the latest frontier for these two players lies north of the border in Canada. Last year, Walmart spent $750 million with 73 new projects. Minneapolis-based Target was much later entering the Canadian market, opening its first 21 stores just last month, with plans to have 124 retail locations across the country by the end of this year. What do analysts see happening north of the border? Check out the full analysis and report on our website at talkbusinessarkansas.com. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak made his first ever trip to Arkansas over the weekend, but he wasn't here to enjoy all the natural beauty the state has to offer or to meet with Walmart executives about launching a new product line. He was in Fayetteville to address students, faculty, and members of the community about his life and career. The speech was part of the University of Arkansas's Distinguished Lecture Series. He told the audience to, quote, love what you're doing. Read the full story on our website at talkbusinessarkansas.com. On our Sunday night TV program, I interviewed UALR economist Dr. Michael Packo about the decline of nearly 25,000 workers from the state's civilian labor force over the last year. Packo said that some of the decline may be attributed to discouraged workers no longer looking for jobs, and it could also be part of the expected retirement of the baby boomer generation. For the past 13 months, Arkansas's labor force has experienced a monthly decline in workers. When we come back, an eye on politics. And later, I'll sit down with Representative John Burris, chairman of the House Public Health Committee. He's also one of the architects of the private option plan. Does he see it passing? We'll find out his thoughts right after this.
I don't think it's going to be an easy conversation because they are very strong-willed. I think it's going to be important to us that we know that you're somewhere in a facility that looks after you, has compassion, has care, and you respect it. I mean, I'd love to look after them, I'd love to be able to take care of them, but I don't think I could. That'd be a wrong choice on my part.
Arkansas's skilled nursing and assisted living centers provide quality care for our seniors.
Farm Bureau helps protect its members in more ways than you might think. They've always been the voice of agriculture in Arkansas, working on behalf of folks like me when nobody else would. And Farm Bureau stands for the values that Arkansas families care about. They've protected my right to farm and make a living, which helps everybody who likes food on the table. You know what they say, Arkansas counts on agriculture, and agriculture counts on Farm Bureau.
The Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas. The State Chamber AIA is the leading voice for business at the state capitol and serves as the primary business advocate on all issues affecting Arkansas employers. Our mission is to promote a pro-business, free enterprise agenda and prevent anti-business legislation, regulations, and rules. Now more than ever, business matters. Learn more at arkansasstatechamber.com.
Here's what's up in politics around the state. Washington, D.C.-based political analyst Stuart Rothenberg says Democratic U.S. Senator Mark Pryor may be the most vulnerable incumbent senator in next year's election cycle. He cited the changing Arkansas political climate and potential challenges from Representative Tom Cotton or Congressman Steve Womack as a basis for his tag. Pryor is the last remaining Democrat among the state's congressional delegation and has served 2 terms as a U.S. Senator. The House Public Health Committee today approved the private option plan being touted by Democrats, Republicans, and Governor Mike Beebe as an alternative to Medicaid expansion. On a voice vote in committee, the enabling legislation which sets up the framework for the private option plan was approved. And after this word from our sponsors, Representative John Burris, chairman of the House Public Health Committee and one of the main architects of that private option plan, joins me to talk politics. I'm Roby Brock. We're back after the break.
Noble Strategies is a bipartisan state and federal government affairs firm with a successful track record of providing effective advocacy for business, government, and nonprofit entities. Noble Strategies provides service in areas such as lobbying, public affairs, trade association management, and marketing campaigns. Learn more at noblestrat.com.
I was looking for a bank that could best protect my finances.
That shared my passion for my business's potential.
A bank that offered investment expertise,
lending support, insurance guidance.
A bank that delivered full financial support.
That's how I found True Balance.
True Balance.
From my bank.
From my bank.
Delta Trust and Bank, the expertise to meet all your financial needs.
One of the real advantages of electric cooperatives membership is having a voice in our state's energy future.
Not a week goes by without important energy issues making headlines. These are issues that need to be discussed. And you should know that as policies are being developed, the cooperatives are looking out for our members, advocating what's best for you.
We are your friends and neighbors.
We are your local electric company.
The electric cooperatives.
We are Arkansas.
Joining me now is Representative John Burris. He's the chair of the House Public Health Committee. He's also one of the lead sponsors on the private option health insurance expansion, Medicaid contraction, whatever you want to call it, plan.
All of those are good titles.
Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's give me your overview of what happened in the House Public Health Committee today. You presented the bill for the health insurance expansion. Give me the top lines of what happened.
We passed out HB 1143 and Senate Bill 1020. Those are the companion bills. They're exactly the same. We amended them to make them exactly the same and get the final language inside, and then passed both out, so they should be on the House floor Thursday. Had a lot of good discussion, a lot of questions still from the membership based off the committee of the whole yesterday. We probably had about an hour debate, and then the committee passed both out.
Do you think they just require a simple majority vote for this enabling legislation? Do you think you have 51 or more votes?
Yes, I think this bill will pass. The question is really surrounding the appropriation.
Well, let's talk about the appropriation then. So that's going to require a supermajority of 75 votes in the House to gain approval. There is the appropriation in the DHS Medicaid Division budget bill, but there are some members that have a problem with that.
Well, it gets a little complex into the weeds, but DHS presented and ALC and joint budget approved in fall an appropriation bill that did not include expansion. Appropriation is authority to spend money. Because DHS budget is so large, they always have excess. And since the private option will only take effect halfway through the fiscal year, and it's a phase in, you're not going to have 100% enrollment on day one, the appropriation level needed to operate that is far less than it would be if it was an entire year at full participation. So the point is, they have enough excess appropriation actually already built into the request to fund the private option. It would be the same. So we really don't even have to add appropriation authority. Now, but that being said, I mean, I think there's a general understanding that approving the appropriation as it is will mean appropriation authority to move forward with the private option. I think members are going to treat them as one and the same, and I think that's fair. And if we get to a point where 75 members of the House aren't comfortable and that appropriation is voted down, then we just need to find a way to address the concerns to make sure that the private option isn't implemented against the will of the people that voted against the appropriation.
But you could still, let's just say that you take out the line item that deals with the private option funding, then you pass the Medicaid bill. You got DHS with this over appropriation capacity here. So does the private option plan with the enabling legislation still go into effect?
No, I mean, 75 members of the House have to say we're okay with the private option. I think that's the only fair way to address it. I do not want to happen is, since it's all in the same appropriation, and 26 people vote against it, and because it's lumped in, they get accused of shutting down Medicaid or kicking grandma out of the nursing home and all the same old tired arguments that we've heard forever. And so if that happens and the appropriation is voted down, I'm committed to going back and finding a way to either put special language on, reduce the appropriation authority, whatever it takes to make sure that the private option isn't implemented if 3/4 of both chambers don't approve the appropriation as it is today.
So even if there's a majority, even a super majority of votes, maybe less than 75 in support of the enabling legislation, you think that if the funding's not there, that's enough to buck the will of the majority of the House?
I think that's the process we've had for a long, long time, and I agree with the governor. It's dangerous to mess with the process because it's worked pretty well. It's always taken 3/4 to approve an appropriation, and I think the understanding on this debate is that it's going to take 3/4 of both bodies to move forward with the private option.
Representative Bruce Westerman, House Majority Leader, your old title there, amended his name off of the bill today.
Yeah.
What does that signal?
Bruce, I mean, and I can't say enough great things about Representative Westerman. I said it in committee that between him and Senator Sanders, Senator Dismank, Senator Lamoureux, we've had more conference calls on Saturdays over the past month while they're out coaching their kids' basketball games, swim teams, all this stuff. And he has put more hours into this than anybody. Where he reached a point where he's just not comfortable. He kind of, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think generally what he said in committee was that he believes we have a framework for something that will work and be positive, but he wants a little bit more time. And I respect that. Again, this is a very conflicting decision. I'm comfortable moving forward. I'm comfortable asking the body to move forward, but I can completely sympathize with people that maybe want to take a little bit more time.
So let's just say this scenario presents itself. The enabling legislation passes, the funding, the appropriation bill cannot get through with the supermajority of votes. Is there a way for you guys to revisit that in the fiscal session next year? Or do you miss out on some of the money that the governor's office has suggested you will miss out on?
I've never been opposed to a special session. I mean, we're dealing with what we all agree are pretty high stakes. I mean, be it the lives of Arkansans, the future of our state. So I'm okay if we pass a plan and we don't have enough people comfortable to vote to appropriate the money to implement the plan, taking the time that we need to take and then come back and be it in a special session or whenever and vote on that appropriation. I think it's irresponsible to remove that as a possibility. That being said, I'm comfortable moving forward right now, and I'm comfortable asking others to also. We've got triggers built into that legislation. I said today in committee, if I was the governor's office or Kathleen Sebelius, I would be more in favor of a special session because what we did was just put all the things we want in the bill and said if you don't do them, this isn't implemented, this act does not become law. And in a lot of ways, if we said we want 10 things and, what if we only get 9? Well, I could maybe still vote for that. But the way the bill is, by having a vote in this session, we're saying it's all or nothing for us, which is kind of the opposite of where this started. So I'm comfortable with the way the appropriation, the special language, and then also the bill is structured to make sure that everything we want is actually achieved.
Let's play doomsday scenario. The appropriation bill doesn't make it through, therefore the private option plan does not go into effect.
Yeah.
It goes straight to the way that the feds want it to go at that point in time, which is what are the options at that point in time? I mean, it's the worst case scenario for what you've been arguing in that doing nothing is worse than doing the private option.
I think, I don't think it's doomsday if we don't do this. I mean, I think long term we have the ability through the private option to change our entitlement structure in the state long term. And that's why I just think we have a lot of opportunity for this to be a different state and a different program 5 or 10 years from now. I don't think the sky doesn't fall tomorrow if we leave without doing this. I just think we're missing an opportunity to really reform, take what the feds are asking us to do and leverage it to actually get some conservative reforms that a lot of people fought for decades to achieve in a lot of ways. So I think we've got an opportunity is what it boils down to.
Last question for you. Give me your prediction of what you think is going to happen.
No, I don't give predictions. So, I mean, you're better at that than I do. So I'm eyeball deep every day in committee. You're out there working it, talking to people. I'm going to ask you what you think the odds are.
So you haven't whipped the votes yet?
No, that's not my responsibility, and I think they've all hired enough lobbyists to do that.
All right, he's John Burris, the chairman of the House Public Health Committee. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Roby Brock. We'll be back next time.
Talk Business Arkansas is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Noble Strategies, the Arkansas Healthcare Association, and Delta Trust and Bank.